A lion can kill a zebra in under 30 seconds. A leopard can drag something 3 times its weight up into a tree. A hyena can crush bone with its jaw like it's nothing. And yet there is a creature out here that all 3 of those animals will actively choose to avoid. Not because it's bigger, it's not. A honey badger weighs about 12 kilograms on a good day. A lion weighs 200. Not because it's faster, it's not that either, but because this animal is built in a way that makes experienced predators, animals that have been hunting their entire lives, look at it and make a decision, not worth it. And the deeper you go into what's actually happening inside this animal, the more that makes complete sense. This is the honey badger. And I genuinely don't think most people understand what they're looking at. Okay, so let's start with the skin, because everything starts here. Look at this. Most animals, when a predator grabs them, that's kind of it. The grip is the game over moment. Teeth sink in. It's done. Watch what happens when something grabs a honey badger. See that? The skin moves. Not just a little. The honey badger can literally rotate inside its own skin. A leopard has it by the back of the neck, which should be a finishing move for basically any animal this size. And the honey badger twists around inside the grip and bites back. That's not normal. That is not how skin is supposed to work. The skin of a honey badger is extraordinarily loose, much looser than other animals of similar size. It's also thick, about 6 millimeters in some areas, which doesn't sound like a lot until you realize that's thick enough to resist porcupine quills and significantly reduce the penetration of snake fangs. Snake fangs. It resists snake fangs. We'll come back to that in a minute, because that whole section of this story is on another level. But the looseness of the skin is the key thing here. It means that even when something has a physical grip on the animal, the honey badger still has functional movement. It can turn. It can reach the attacker. And what it does when it reaches the attacker is, well, we'll get to that. Now, look at the build of this animal. Low to the ground, compact, muscular in a way that looks almost wrong for the size. The legs are short, but the claws are massive relative to the body. The front claws in particular are built for digging, but function equally well as weapons. The jaw is disproportionately powerful. The neck muscles are thick. Everything about this animal is optimized for a fight it shouldn't be winning. The skull is dense. There's documentation of honey badgers surviving blows from machetes, recovering from injuries that would kill most animals outright, and continuing to function normally after encounters that should have been fatal. And here's the thing about that. The honey badger doesn't just survive these encounters. It keeps going. It doesn't retreat to recover. It doesn't slow down. It just continues. There's a reason for that, and it comes down to something in the nervous system that researchers have spent a lot of time trying to fully understand. Honey badgers appear to have an unusually high tolerance for pain. Not in the way people say certain dog breeds are stoic, where they're just not very expressive about it. Something deeper than that. Their pain response seems physiologically different from most mammals. They sustain injuries that would incapacitate other animals, and their behavior barely changes. Whether this is a higher pain threshold at the neural level, a different inflammatory response, or something else entirely, hasn't been fully nailed down scientifically. But the behavioral evidence across documented encounters is consistent. This animal experiences damage and keeps functioning at a level that most animals simply don't. Okay, the Venom situation. I need to talk about this carefully because this is the part where people either don't believe it or they've heard a version that's been exaggerated. So let me be precise. Honey badgers are not fully immune to venom. That's the exaggerated version. What they actually have is a documented high resistance to certain venoms, specifically some neurotoxic snake venoms. That is genuinely remarkable and not fully explained. Watch this footage. This is a honey badger being bitten by a puff adder. The puff adder is responsible for more snakebite fatalities in Africa than any other species. Its venom is cytotoxic and causes rapid, serious tissue damage in most mammals. A bite of that magnitude would kill a dog. It would put a human in serious medical danger. The honey badger goes down. And this is the part, watch the time here. It's unconscious for a period. Researchers have documented this lasting anywhere from a few minutes to around 2 hours, depending on the amount of venom delivered. And then it gets back up, and in documented cases, goes back to eating the snake it was fighting. The mechanism behind this isn't completely understood even now. What we do know is that honey badgers possess a modified nicotinic acetylcholine receptor, the same type of molecular adaptation found in mongooses, which are relatives that reduces the binding efficiency of certain alpha neurotoxins. Essentially, the venom can't lock onto the neuroreceptor as effectively as it would in other mammals. It doesn't fully block the venom, hence the honey badger going down, but it significantly limits the effect. And combined with what seems to be an unusually rapid physiological recovery system, the animal survives encounters that should be terminal. There are documented cases of honey badgers killing and eating highly venomous snakes, black mambas, puff adders, Cape cobras as a normal part of their diet. Not occasionally, regularly. Let's talk about the intelligence piece, because I feel like this gets undersold in most videos about this animal. Honey badgers have been documented using tools, not in a theoretical or marginal way. In captivity, individual honey badgers have been observed moving objects to use as steps to reach things they couldn't otherwise access. Stacking items, using sticks to probe and manipulate, repeatedly trying different approaches when an initial method fails. Their problem-solving behavior in captivity has led researchers to compare their cognitive flexibility to that of primates and corvids, ravens, crows, that family, which are generally considered the top tier of animal intelligence outside of humans. In the wild, this intelligence shows up in their hunting behavior. They remember where beehives are across large territories and plan routes to visit them. They've been observed working cooperatively with honey-guide birds, a species of bird that leads them to beehives in exchange for access to the wax, which requires recognizing and responding to a signal from another species and acting on it deliberately. That's a level of cross-species communication that most animals simply don't engage in. They have also been documented escaping from enclosures in ways that suggest deliberate reasoning rather than trial and error. Now watch this interaction with a lion. Look at the size difference. The lion outweighs this animal by, oh wait, I said around 15 times earlier. I should say around 16 to 17 times its weight, actually, to be precise. Either way, the difference is enormous. Watch the lion's approach. It's cautious. Watch how it moves. That hesitation is an unfamiliarity. Lions have seen honey badgers before. That hesitation is experience. The honey beggar doesn't run. Watch. It turns toward the lion. It turns toward the predator. And look at what the lion does. It slows down even more. There's a moment here, watch this, where the lion looks like it's reassessing. Its body language changes. Here's what's happening in that moment. The lion is running a cost-benefit analysis based on what it knows about this encounter. What it knows is that engaging with this animal has a non-trivial chance of resulting in injury. Not death necessarily, but a bite from a honey beggar, which has a jaw strong enough and teeth sharp enough to crush tortoise shells, is going to cause real damage. A facial bite could affect the lion's ability to hunt for weeks. In the wild, an injury that compromises hunting ability is genuinely dangerous. So the lion looks at this 12-kilogram animal and decides, not worth it. That calculus is the reason honey badgers can exist the way they do. The ferocity isn't random aggression. It's a survival strategy that has been refined over millions of years of evolutionary pressure into exactly this, making every encounter with this animal feel like it costs more than it's worth. Let me tell you something about how honey badgers hunt that I genuinely found surprising. They are not sit-and-wait predators. They are active hunters. A honey badger will cover between 25 and 40 kilometers in a single night of foraging. 25 to 40 kilometers. For a 12-kilogram animal, that is an enormous range. They don't specialize. That's the other thing. Most predators have a primary prey type. Honey badgers eat snakes, rodents, insects, roots, berries, eggs, lizards, scorpions, tortoises. They will eat literally almost anything. The diet varies by season and by what's available. This dietary flexibility is part of why they can exist across such a wide range of habitats, from dense forest to near-desert conditions. The way they handle scorpions is worth a specific mention. Most animals avoid scorpions. Honey badgers eat them routinely. They flip them over quickly, bite behind the tail to neutralize the stinger, and eat the body. The whole process takes seconds. It's practiced and efficient. See this clip here? Watch how fast this happens. That's not luck. That's a learned behavior. The honey badger knows exactly where to bite and in what sequence to prevent being stung. That level of learned behavioral precision applied to a venomous prey animal is remarkable. There's one more thing I want to get into before we close out, because I think it's the part that ties everything else together. Why doesn't this animal back down? Not in a rhetorical way, literally. What is happening in the brain and the body of this animal that makes it respond to threat with aggression rather than retreat? Part of it is the skin and the pain resistance. It has learned through its own experience that attacks hurt less than they should. Part of it is the venom resistance. It has learned that snake bites are survivable. Part of it is the jaw and the claws. It has learned that it can cause genuine damage to things much larger than itself. But there's also something about the ratio of courage to caution in this animal's temperament that sits outside the normal range. Researchers who study mustoles, the family that includes honey badgers, wolverines, otter, weasels, note that the whole family trends toward aggression relative to body size. But honey badgers sit at the extreme end of that spectrum. Even within the